Hi everyone, welcome back to the Microsoft Excel series. Today we are going to deal with a very simple fundamental concept in Microsoft Excel, which is the cell referencing. Understanding this will help you create a better formula and automate calculations effectively. So let's get started. Now, we have three types of cell referencing. We have the relative reference, the absolute reference, and the mixed reference. Let's start with the relative reference. This simply means that when you copy a formula to another cell, Excel automatically adjusts the reference based on the new position. Let me just demonstrate how the relative reference works. Now, coming to this first sheet, which is the relative reference, we want to add these two prices here of this product. We set equal to, and then we click on the first price, which is placed in C4, and then we press plus, and then we click on the second price, which is placed in D4. When you press enter, you see it has given us the total immediately. When I drag it down, I'm performing a relative reference. Immediately, when I drag it down, you are seeing that it has replicated the formula automatically. Now, imagine we have a very big table here and we don't want to keep dragging it down. We just highlight all. Let me just highlight and delete. Let's say we just highlight the table and then we press equal to, and then we just perform the task for this first column, which is a C4. We said plus D4, and then we hold control whilst we press our enter button. Immediately it gives us the answer directly. But what it's actually doing is that it is replicating what we have done in the first cell to be directly done in the for other cells. Now, when we double click on the answers, it gives us the formula of what we have just done now. Here it is clearly stating that we have added the blue cell, which is cell C4, and the red cell, which is cell D4. But to make this one simple, so that we can see all these different cells and their formula, let's just come to formula on the ribbon here, and then we click show formula. By clicking show formula, we can now view our answer directly. Now, when we click on our total score, we are seeing what is being selected. Now, we want to go back, we click on show formula, we are back to our table. That's the way actually how relative reference works. Most times, we use only the show formula to inspect our table and to understand what has been done and how the calculation has been done. Now, let me go to absolute reference. For next, absolute reference, this means the reference stays the same no matter where you copy the formula. Let me just demonstrate it in a very simple way. Now, for absolute reference, let me just say we have a list of scores here, and then we have this 10, which we want to multiply it by. Let me just drag it here. 10, which we want to multiply it by. This 10, let me just zoom it, 10. Now, for here, we want to say equal to 2 and multiply it by 10, we have 20. Obviously, when we multiply 2 by 10, we will have 20. But imagine if we drag it here, it will perform the relative reference technique. So what we want to do, we want to hold this 10 constant and then we multiply it by the rest of the numbers. Let me just show you exactly what will happen. to hold this 10 constant and multiply it exactly what has been done here, we went to replicate it here. We will not have to drag it. If we drag it, we have a relative reference. So what you want to do is to double click on the answer here first, and then we place our cursor before cell D4 and we press F4 on our keyboard, which simply means we have locked cell D4, and then we press enter. Now cell D4 here remain constant. This cell D4 here remain constant. So we click on our 20 and then we drag. You see, immediately we drag, we have achieved our answer successfully. Now, as you see, the cell D4 remain constant and it does not change. We have 3 times 10 is 30, 4 times 10 is 40, 5 times 10 is 50, 6 times 10 is 60, and so on and so forth. So, that's the way the absolute reference is being performed. If we want to view our formula here again, we come to formula, we come to show formula. You see, it is showing us what has happened. Cell D4 is constant and the rest of the other cells are changing. Now let me go again, show formula, and when I click, it is now closed. Now we come to mixed reference. For mixed reference, it is a combination of both relative and absolute reference. In our primary school, we have the timetable, which is very much unique and is very much mathematical friendly. Now, let's just apply a similar concept of that multiplication table in our primary school. Now, we want to build a multiplication table in Microsoft Excel. Let's just say we want to say 2 times 2 is 4 here, 3 times 2 is 6 here. Let's just see what we can do about that. When we press equal to, we say 2 multiplied by 2, we have 4. When we drag it, we will not have 6 here. Why? Because Microsoft Excel is performing relative reference for us automatically. Now, what you want to do is to highlight this one and delete it, and then we place our cursor on the 4, we double click it, and then when we double click it, we have the formula here. So when we have the formula, we place our cursor, our blinking bar, before the 5, and we press F4 1 times, and we make it 2. The moment we make it 2, we have successfully locked row 5, where the first 2 is here, and then we take our cursor in front of B, and when we place it in front of B, we click on our F4 3 times. We said 1, 2, 3, because our motive here is to close this column. And when we press enter, we have 4. When we drag it down, you see we have it now successfully done. Let me just highlight it and place it in the middle, and then let me maximize the size here. You see we have 4. 2 times 2 is 4, 3 times 2 is 6, 4 times 2 is 8, 5 times 2 is 10, and so on and so forth. If we want to replicate it for the rest of the other numbers, we drag it here. You see, we have it now successfully. 10 times 2, 20, 10 times 3, 30, 10 times 4, 40, 10 times 5, 50, and so on and so forth. It's very much interesting and simple, right? So, for mixed reference, it's a combination of that of relative reference and absolute reference. And for absolute reference, we have a particular cell that we want to make as constant, and for relative reference, we want to replicate the formula that has been done in a particular cell down to the other cells. For this tutorial, this is all I have for you, and thank you. Once more, I'm Sezojames.